Netflix's latest true crime documentary, How to Rob a Bank, chronicles the story of bank robber Scott Scurlock, the mastermind behind 19 Seattle-based bank robberies during the 1990s. Among Seattle law enforcement officials, the prolific robber earned himself the nickname Hollywood, thanks to his masterful use of facial prosthetics and makeup. The eccentric son of a preacher, Scott Scurlock managed to buy property in nearby Olympia, Washington after cooking meth in college. Afterward, the law-breaking Scurlock became fascinated with bank robberies after watching Point Break, 1991's Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves-led thriller. Along with his buddy, Steve Myers, Scurlock used the insight gleaned from Point Break and other Hollywood flicks to rob nearly 20 banks in the span of just 4 years. In total, Hollywood nabbed a whopping $2.3 million, but, eventually, his crime spree came to an end. How to Rob a Bank thoroughly explores the rise and fall of Scurlock's bank-robbing endeavors, culminating in a 1996 heist that sparked Scott's life-ending gunfight with law enforcement. However, the true crime documentary has left viewers wondering what happened to Scott Scurlock's treehouse in the wake of his death. Scott Scurlock's treehouse went up for sale in 1997. Scurlock's parents sold the unconventional home to pay off their son's debts. Much like his Point Break idol, Swayze's surfer-turned-robber Bodie, Scurlock took his own life during his 1996 gunfight with law enforcement. After his death during the standoff, Scott Scurlock's parents decided to sell their late son's 19-acre property in Olympia. Standing on that property was Scurlock's 3-level treehouse, which he built during the 1980s while studying chemistry and cooking meth at Evergreen State College. An impressive 1,500-square-foot dwelling nestled in between firs and cedars, Scott Scurlock's well-appointed tree house boasted everything from plumbing and electricity to fire poles. Amid the shootout with law enforcement, Scurlock fled the scene of his final crime and managed to elude police for a full 24 hours. In the wake of the gunfight-turn-chase, several law enforcement officials filed a lawsuit against Scott Scurlock's estate, alleging that they experienced emotional distress during the ordeal. That lawsuit prompted Scurlock's parents to sell the treehouse, as they hoped the asking price would help them pay off their late son's debts. In total, Scurlock's estate was valued at $106,000, which is the only real indication of the treehouse's value, via spokesman. Scott Scurlock's treehouse was destroyed less than 2 years after his death. The treehouse was the only developed part of Scurlock's 19-acre property. While How to Rob a Bank explains what happened to Scott Scurlock, the Netflix documentary doesn't get into the details of the fate of the elusive bank robber's treehouse. However, it's been reported that the hand-built dwelling crumbled to the ground within 2 years of Scurlock's death via Netflix. Scott's mother, former teacher Mary Jane Scurlock, called the treehouse her son's dream home, reiterating that the abode was beautiful even though she and her husband absolutely needed to sell it in order to pay off Scott's debts. The layout of Scott Scurlock's treehouse near Olympia, Washington explained. How to Rob a Bank. Scurlock built the treehouse himself. Scott's treehouse in How to Rob a Bank. By 1996, Scott Scurlock's Olympia-based treehouse was already falling into a state of disrepair. With buckling floorboards, rusting nails, and tree-pushed walls, the home wasn't necessarily built to last, as evidenced by its total collapse in 1998. Still, the structure was a unique one composed of 3 tiers. In addition to plumbing and electrical wiring, Scurlock's elevated home featured several sun decks, a wood stove, a shower, lofted rooms, and, of course, fire poles, which made leaving the house much quicker than using the maze of ladders, as seen briefly in Netflix's How to Rob a Bank.